Hello friends, welcome to Shah's IAS Institute. This is our website ashah.com. We upload current affairs here on a daily basis. So you can click on this link here. One more initiative which is there is online tests. So there are these free online tests based on current affairs which are uploaded here. We'll have to fill up the form for this online test. So when you click on the online tests too, you come to this page where you need a login and password. So if you are a fresh user, you go for sign up. And in sign up, you can fill in the details here. Once the institute admits you as a free student, there is no charge as such for it. You just have to enroll yourself, get a registration. So here for this, you can select the course as free MCQ tests online. So just select this and sign up here. You can select other details. You have to fill in the correct details. Your branch, you can select any branch since it's not an offline course which you're going for. So the branch will not matter. But you select the course category as UPSC Civil Service exam, and in the course you select free daily tests MCQs. So you can go for these MCQ tests also which are uploaded online. And current affairs, the current affairs which is uploaded here, it's done on a monthly basis, the table provided here. So for the month of June, the table here, we upload news, keywords, editorials and question bank. So this is all based on the Hindu newspaper. So these news items which are covered here are also provided in a PDF format along with the keywords, editorial and question bank for the day. So you can download this PDF and go through the material too. The keywords initiative which we have started is based on the news. So whatever news items are covered up, whatever words come up for which you need an explanation, they're all listed down here. So for 1st June, whatever items have come forth in news, like Visinjam. So after some time, you may not remember what was this all about. So this is the word, keyword. So you should know about this. If this word comes, you should be able to recollect this. So if you go through these again and again, international organizations which keep coming in news often. So that is also mentioned here. Initiatives, international initiatives taken. Even here, this is about strategic partnership model. So this is also a new initiative taken under the defense procurement policy. So this is a policy for defense procurement, make in India in defense. So the terminology as it comes up, you should be able to remember the things which are part of it. So this keywords initiative helps you with that. So these are the keywords for today, as you can see, NPCI, UPI, VMAP, all these terminologies you should be aware of. So if you go through these again and again, it will help you in recollecting them. And this is the key for prelims specifically, because in prelims, the current affairs specific news may not be so relevant as these terms, because questions are objective type questions. I'll be asking you about something. So that is why this is important. Two more things which I would like to emphasize on here is, first, the tests are very important, because on a daily basis when you study the news and you are attempting MCQs too, these are MCQ tests, 10 MCQ tests, the question bank initiative which is there, the other part, that is taking care of your mains questions. So whatever lead articles and other comment articles which come in the newspaper, those questions are framed on the basis of the content there, and you can have an answer. The content is also prepared and provided for you, though not in an answer format, but it will give you points for the answers. So this is the question bank initiative for mains, and for prelims, the MCQs. So that helps you a lot. That actually helps you in understanding whether you are studying in the right direction or not. Because for other subjects, attempting MCQs, it will take a lot of time. But these are MCQs based on that particular day's news itself. So these should not give you any reason that you are not attempting it. So you have done one day's news, you can attempt that day's MCQs. So that's the idea. The MCQs may be uploaded a day later too, because it takes time to prepare them. So this will be there. And one more thing which is there is regarding the coverage. The coverage is done from the Hindu newspaper. So there are demands, there are people who do attempt and study more papers too. The same is the case for other subjects also. For subjects also, people go for more books, more studies. But then there is one standard thing which you have to follow and consistently follow it. That is very important. Rather than expanding your scope horizontally, you enrich it vertically. So if you're doing little but you're doing it very strongly, covering it thoroughly, then it will be much more useful, and your revision will also be easier and quicker. If you bulk up a lot of items, it will be very difficult, because whatever you're starting from today, the date is important, 1st June 2017. So from today onwards, you have to seriously prepare for at least a year to attempt prelims 2018. So that is why 1 year's current affairs will be there with you for revision at the end of the year. the year which we'll be having for preparing for prelims 2018. So that is why keep it to minimum, and believe me, the Hindu newspaper coverage is much more than sufficient. If there are some questions which are bound to be vague and out of the way, so you cannot go about getting a hold on everything. You can skip one or two questions and strengthen your studies with minimum time and effort rather than expanding it too much and making it unbearable. So that is what I believe in, and the coverage which we would be doing here would be based on the Hindu and an exhaustive, extensive coverage on everything which comes up. So starting with news for June 2017. The news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper for 1st June are these 18 as you look at them. The first news item is blast hits Kabul diplomatic quarter. So this is a massive suicide truck bomb attack which took place in Kabul in a highly fortified diplomatic quarter where embassies of various countries are located, even India's embassies are located. So such high profile attacks are taking place. At least 90 people were killed here and around 400 wounded, and of course majority of them here were civilians. So such attacks have taken place now. French, Chinese, Turkish embassies were specific embassies that were hit due to this. Though there were no casualties from the embassies, a BBC driver is reported to have been killed in this attack. So no group so far has taken responsibility for it, though Taliban and Islamic State have presence here and they have done such attacks earlier in Afghanistan. So Taliban has, by the way, issued a statement saying that they have no involvement in this attack and they condemn all attacks against civilians. So this is there. The next news item is Rajasthan High Court recommends declaration of cow as national animal. So the Rajasthan High Court has now recommended the centre to declare cow as a national animal and increase punishment for cow slaughter to life imprisonment. So this was on the basis of a PIL which was put before the Rajasthan High Court. So in this PIL, the issue was regarding conditions of gaushalas in Jaipur. So specific points have been put forth in the order to improve the conditions of gaushalas. Even there should be 5,000 saplings every year planted in the gaushalas to keep them green is one of the points put forth as an order to the forest department. So this is a order coming forth. Presently, the national animal you should know is tiger. Panthera tigris is the national animal. The Royal Bengal tiger is the national animal of the country. Your proposal is to make it as the cow. So this is of course in the context of recent prevention of cruelty to animals rules, animal market rules which have been put forth by the central government, and also regarding the attacks by cow vigilance in various parts of the country. The next news item is India is no longer the fastest growing economy. So India is no longer the fastest growing economy. We lost that tag because in the fourth quarter of the financial year 2016-17, GDP growth has come at 6.1%. So now China has overtaken us because China's economic growth is 6.9%. And so the GDP growth for the entire financial year 2016-17 has been 7.1%, and last financial year it was 8%. So this is based on the new base year which has also been selected, that is 2011-12 has been decided as the base year for all the data including IIP and WPI. So this GDP, what is this GDP? We have to go through this. GDP, GNP, there is GVA, gross value addition growth also figures mentioned here. So it is stated that GDP growth rate is slightly higher than GVA growth rate. We'll see what is GDP, GVA too. Why is it slightly higher? Because of a more than proportionate increase in indirect tax, net and subsidies. So how that is linked also we'll see. So you can see GDP, gross domestic product. So it is the market value of all goods and services produced within a year, say for a year within the country. So within the domestic region of the country. So that is gross domestic product. So all goods and services. So here GDP will include even foreigners who have established themselves in the country and they are producing goods and services. That is also included. So it's within the region of the country, then it is included. GNP is not that. GNP is the total income earned by the nation's factors of production, regardless of where they are located. Means it's net factors which are taken. So net factors from abroad are here. So factor payments from abroad are added up and factor payments to abroad are deducted. Means if somebody is working in the country some foreigner is working in the country, but he would send remittances to his own country. So those payments which are coming for those aspects are deducted because it's not going to stay in the country. So that is deducted, and what Indians are sending in remittances or profits or whatever it may be. So examples are wages, profits, rent, interest, dividends, whatever are coming into the country. So that is added. So that factors payment from abroad are added, and factor payments to abroad going out of the country are deducted. So GDP with this adjustment is called GNP, gross national product. So with it, by the nationals of the country, that way. And domestic is within geographically within the domestic region. That. And then other terms which are there, third term was GVA, gross value addition. So gross value addition is also derived from GDP, and this is on value addition, means whenever goods and services are produced, the economic activity which is involved is only calculated. So in the GDP, we are taking the total final value of goods and services. So you should know this final value will also include taxes. So taxes are also included, but these taxes are not because of any economic activity done on the commodity, on the goods or service. So that way, taxes have to be deducted from this. So if taxes are deducted from GDP and subsidies are added, because in some cases government may provide subsidies. Like say for LPG, the LPG cost is 700 rupees, it's provided for 500 rupees. In the market it is sold at 500 rupees. So 200 rupees amount, which is part of the cost price as such, is taken care of by the government. So those 200 rupees are subsidies, but subsidies are also expenditure done. So that way expenditure on value addition. So that is why subsidies have to be added. So GDP minus taxes plus subsidies gives you GVA, gross value addition. So that is there. So the last statement which was given in the news item 2, that GDP data is slightly higher than GVA because of more than proportionate increase in indirect taxes, net of subsidies. So indirect taxes have increased. That is why GDP growth rate is high. That is the statement here. Then there are other two prefixes which are provided to GDP, GNP, GVA. These are nominal and real. So nominal GDP or nominal GVA. So what is nominal and real? Nominal will be at current prices. So at current prices, so there is no allowance for inflation as such. So inflation is not taken into consideration. So whatever are the current prices, at this price, this is the value. Real will be at constant prices. So this will give you a realistic picture because it is taking care of inflation too. So if because of inflation, the money value has decreased. So amount is increasing at a later year. So that is giving you a wrong picture that GDP has increased significantly. So at real prices, at constant prices, you have to take a base year, and based on that base year, you see what changes have taken place. So that is called real GDP. So at constant prices in a fixed year. So here, as we saw, base years 2011-12 presently. So these are the two terminals, nominal and real. Then the next news item is 3-member panel to probe Vizhinjam. So this is regarding Vizhinjam International Multi-Purpose Deep Water Seaport Project. So this deep water seaport has been developed in Kerala, and it was initiated by the former Kerala government and this former CM Ummen Chandi. And this seaport project by global bidding was awarded to Adani Vizhinjam Ports Limited. So this was the body which has been contracted with, and this is around 7,525 crore project. So in this, CAG had listed out some discrepancies because of which lapses on the part of the state government, because of which state government has incurred losses. So Comptroller and Auditor General of India has highlighted these. Specifically, one point which it puts forth is regarding the concession period. So this is a public-private partnership project. It's been developed on those lines. So in a PPP, generally, there's a time frame given for the private participant to recover the investments which he has made. So this is for a period of concession period is for 30 years generally, but in this case it has been provided for 40 years. So this is been highlighted by CAG. Another point which it puts forth is that the changes which were made in the contract as such, so because of that too, the private partner benefited. Even they had to make extra payments, because of which the interests which the government could have earned if it had the money with itself is a loss. So that is also listed out by the CAG. And because of this extra period too, again it will incur a loss to the exchequer of the state government, and this amounts to around 29,217 crores. So this extra income is going to Adani Group because of the concession which has been provided by the state government. So this is being highlighted here. as a discrepancy. So now the present news is that 3-member panel has been established by the present Kerala government to look into these points which have been raised by the CAG. So this is the case. It has been given 6 months time to submit its report. So these you can see are the CAG findings mentioned that generally it's for 30 years, it's given 40 years, extra period of 10 years. So additional revenue will go to Adani and states will lose. So Kerala state will lose around 61,095 crore. Then here modification of agreement that I spoke of. So an excess payment had to be made by the state government to the private entity and that resulted in an interest loss. So if you give away the money before the time, then the time frame for which the money would be with you was the interest you would earn. So that is being highlighted by CAG. And here you can see the bifurcation is also given. For the cost of the entire project, Adani's investment is around 2454 crores. State share is 3436 crores and remaining amount is a viability gap funding provided by the central government. So central government has also provided funding for this project. So viability gap funding is a funding, the terminology which is generally used means when investments are done up to the maximum possible by each entity, still the project cannot be viable because there is a need for more investment. So the one who makes these extra investments, that is the viability gap funding. So when that is provided for means this gap is filled to make the project viable, workable. So that is called viability gap funding. Then the next news item is school education in Bihar has collapsed. So class 12 results were announced and Bihar State Education Board results showed 64% of the students failed. Only 34.25% of students have passed in Bihar. So this is highly shocking. Students have also asked for revaluation because even those students who cleared IIT JEE entrance exams have failed in their class 12 board exams. And there are also allegations coming that earlier percentage of pass students were high because there was large scale mass copying which took place in Bihar, and because presently the mass cheating was regulated, the results are so. So this will also be probed into. The next is PDP charts its own course for talks. So this is PDP government in Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir. So in Jammu and Kashmir, it's a People's Democratic Party and BJP joint alliance government. So because BJP's initiative as the central government, we are seeing that Kashmir's status is deteriorating and BJP has refused to have talks either with Pakistan or with the separatist leaders. So PDP has come forward and said that we'll work towards holding a dialogue with Harriet and Pakistan both, so that a peaceful solution can be come out on this crisis which is facing the state. So people of Kashmir are agonized because of the confrontationist politics and provocative voices coming from the center. So this is the statement coming from PDP Vice President. The next is Yogi Adityanath sees chance to solve Ayodhya dispute. So this is Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister. He was on a visit to Ayodhya, even in the context of case being revived against senior BJP leaders like L.K. Advani too. So in this context, he also was in Ayodhya, in Lucknow, and he visited the temple here, the makeshift Ram temple which is present here. You can see this is the makeshift Ram temple. This is the Babri Masjid. So the central dome of Babri Masjid was demolished in 1992. So this is the case going on against senior BJP leaders and even unknown car sevaks as such. So this makeshift temple which is present here, he offered prayers here, the CM of Uttar Pradesh. He also took ceremonial bath rituals were followed at the ghats of river Saryu. So river Saryu flows in this region, you should know, Ayodhya. So this is the news. He said that a peaceful solution is possible. Even Supreme Court in March 2017 had suggested that the dispute should be settled through talks, because Allahabad High Court had called for trifurcation of the region with Ram Lalla, which is the idol which is located inside the mosque as such. Then the second is Nimrohi Akhara, which is also an entity here. Plus the third is Sunni Central Waqf Board. So there should be trifurcation, but then this order of Allahabad High Court was stayed. So now the Supreme Court had said that this dispute should be settled through talks, the two parties, because it's a highly sensitive issue, and this dispute has resulted in communal disharmony. So there needs to be an amicable solution, and that's what presently UP CM Yogi Adityanath is talking about. So we'll see what happens on this case too. The third news item is For this, one more thing is that we have made a complete coverage of this issue, Babri Masjid demolition issue, in a particular video. So a link of this would be provided at the end of this video. So you can go through that video to get further details from the entire history. It's a very old dispute from the time of, post-independence time itself. It had started from 1950s onwards. The next news item is trade unions oppose centre's move to privatize Air India. So this initiative was announced by the government that it is looking at privatizing Air India, but then the workers, employees of Air India are against this, and Center of Indian Trade Unions affiliated to CPIM has voiced its strong opposition against this move. It says that it was not a profit-making entity for long, but since 2008 it has started making operating profits now. So then if it is provided to a private sector entity, it would only be provided after all its losses are written off. So if its losses are written off, the Air India employees say, then it can function viably even presently. So if that is the case, after writing off losses means the entire debt burden which is there. Because of the entire debt burden of Air India, it is not able to function effectively, though it has operating profits. So the past debt is a drag on it. So to remove this drag and hand it over to the private entity, rather than that, what is being demanded is just remove the drag and let us function effectively. So that is what is being stated and facts provided about the operating profits of Air India presently. So this is there. So 20,000 crore of Air India's loans are sustainable. So this is the amount of loan which they can sustainably, sustainably service as well. So it means they can make repayments on those loans. But they have around 4,000 crore interest which is paid every year by Air India. So this is the case. So around 40,000 crores of loans is there or Air India totally. Then the next news item is Russia, a natural ally, Modi. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a 6-day 4-nation tour. He already visited Germany, Spain. Now he's in Russia and his last stop would be France. So in Russia also negotiations will take place between the two leaders and deals are expected to be finalized. Specifically the Kudankulam nuclear power project, the Unit 5 and 6 deal has to be finalized. So that is awaited. And apart from that, the relations between the two nations presently have been strained because of recent incidents too. So specifically, it is in the context of Uri terror attacks. So at the time of Uri terror attacks in October 2016, Russia and Pakistan were undertaking these joint military exercises. And Russia went ahead with these joint military exercises despite India calling for apprehensions and calling for not getting involved with countries which source terrorism. So that was the case. So, but then that went ahead. So Russia is getting closer to China and Pakistan, which is not to the liking of India. So Russia has been a natural ally for a long time, and that is again being re-emphasized here. Even in the BRICS summit as such in October 2016, which was held in Goa, India, Russia aligned closer to China and Pakistan. So even India's insistence on including the reference to terror attacks and these incidents which have been coming from across the borders, this was not included as such. So these strains in relations are seen presently, but then India and Russia are also coming closer through SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So this is an economic, political and military organization in which there are 6 members presently, but 2 more are proposed to be added, India and Pakistan. So both the accession has been initiated in the present summit, which would take place in 2017. The two countries would be formally inducted. So Shanghai Cooperation Organization would then have 8 members. So SCO members presently are, you can see here, we had provided this. It was founded in 2001. So it has China and Russia and the Central Asian nations. So these are Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. Earlier it was Shanghai 5, but with addition of Uzbekistan, it has been now called SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So you can see in Astana meeting would take place, the SCO meet would take place, and India, Pakistan both would be inducted as full members of SCO. Earlier they were observers along with Iran and Mongolia. So this is a development which is going to take place, and also the Russian President Vladimir Putin has also emphasized on strengthening the relations between India and Russia, specifically in the context of Eurasian Economic Union. So he's talking of an FTA between EU and India. So Eurasian Economic Union is also a new organization which has been established in 2014. So it is an economic union. So here the members are Belarus, Kazakhstan and Russia. So it came into force from 2015, and other two members added presently are Armenia and Kyrgyzstan. So this is a 5-member organization, Eurasian Economic Union. So Eurasia means Europe and Asia. So there are nations which lie in that region. So these are SCO members shown here and the observers too. And this is the Eurasian Economic Union. So this is the region. So this you can see is Europe and this is Asia. So here members are these 5. So with this, an FTA has been proposed by Russian President Vladimir Putin, and he is also talking of cooperation with respect to international north-south transport corridor. So this development is also taking place. Dry runs as such have also taken place on this international north-south transport corridor. So you can see this is also mentioned here. It's a 7,200 kilometer long multi-mode network. So it's a transport corridor including ships, rail and road route to move freight. So means goods will be moved between the nations here, India, Russia, Iran to Europe and Central Asia. So this is the map also shown here, you can see. So the traditional route which is there is the sea route, you can see here. So it flows through this region and then it reaches Europe and also Russia. But another route which has been proposed, which will have sea route, land route, rail network included and directly reach Russia from India. So here from the Mumbai port specifically. This is the NSTC route, International North-South Transport Corridor, which is being proposed. And as I said, dry runs had also been done and this showed that transport costs were reduced significantly. So this is the 2014, there were dry runs conducted from Mumbai to Baku and second also from Mumbai to Astrakhan. So this is there. So here also cooperation between the two nations. This is for trade purposes, will be beneficial. So these are highlighted. Then the next news item is India-Spain call for zero tolerance to terrorism. So as I said, Prime Minister visited Spain as well. So in Spain, this was the first Indian PM to visit Spain since 1992. And here the emphasis was on zero tolerance to terrorism and also call to international community to end selective or partial approaches in combating terrorism. So there are such initiatives which we see that Pakistan is supported to fight against certain entities while it is supporting other terrorist groups as such. So such vagueness which is there, selective and partial approaches in combating terrorism are counterproductive. So that is being highlighted. There should be zero tolerance. No form of terrorist group or organization should be supported. So that is emphasized on. Other agreements which were signed between India and Spain are on transfer of sentenced persons, visa waiver norms, etc., cyber security, renewable energy. So such MOUs were also signed. The next news item is preventive detention, not a quick alternative to normal legal process, Supreme Court. So this is regarding preventive detention. So this is done by governments when a person is branded as a Gunda. In this present case too, it was a seed manufacturer. So he was put under preventive detention because the government said that he would be selling spurious chili seeds to farmers, to poor farmers. So that is why he was put under preventive detention. But the Supreme Court is highlighting that there are when general laws available to take action under, then why is preventive detention being gone ahead with? So that has to be selectively used. It's not to be generally used as such, because the main question involved here is liberty of the citizen. So there will be limitations on preventive detention with respect to Articles 14, 19, 21 and 22, which are the fundamental rights in the Constitution. So this is being highlighted by the Supreme Court here. It accepts that it is the subjective satisfaction of the detaining authority under which preventive detention is done, but then that exercise of that authority is subject to judicial review, and if the power is misused or abused as such, based on grounds beyond the statute under which these powers are provided, then action would be taken by the judiciary. It would call it colorable exercise of power. So there is corrupt activity involved here, would be put forth by the Supreme Court. Then the next news item is strategic partnership model takes effect. So this also is being discussed quite often. So finally, strategic partnership model under defense procurement policy has been put into effect. So what is this strategic partnership policy? Is to emphasize or to bring in Make in India in defense. So private entities would be selected, private companies, and these companies would have direct dealings with OEMs, original equipment manufacturers of foreign countries. So foreign OEMs will directly deal with this, and there will be technology transfer, and Make in India in defense would be put into effect. So this is the process which has been initiated. So now it has been notified as such. So under it, the selection evaluation criteria have been stipulated for shortlisting the strategic partners as such who would be there in this. Also foreign OEMs, they have to submit their proposals as such in the given segment. So if there is also, the government has clarified one thing, that even if there is only one OEM coming forth for a particular section, then that also would be accepted and technical evaluation would be completed. Because what happens is, if there is only one entry coming in, then there can not be any competitive bidding, and in those cases then deals have to be cancelled as such, because it's a single vendor situation which has come forth. So to avoid such cancellation of single vendor situations, the government has put forth this policy too, that technical evaluation would still be done. And there are 4 segments under which strategic partnership policy would be put into effect. This had been provided earlier too. Submarines for the Navy. So 6 submarines under Project 75I would be developed. Already Mazgaon Docks Limited is developing Scorpion submarines under Project 75. So Project 75 is for Scorpion submarines. So 6 Scorpion submarines are being developed with the help of French company. And this 75I is to procure another 6 submarines as such. So this is there. And then single engine fighter aircrafts will be there. Then armored vehicles would also be there. Armored vehicles for the army. Submarines are for the navy. Single engine fighters are for the air force, and helicopters are also there. There are 110 utility helicopters which are also demanded by the navy. So for this also strategic partner would be decided. So these are the likely contenders which are mentioned here. Mazgaon Dock Limited is the partner with the French company for developing Scorpion submarines. So these submarines are being developed here. So that is what has been mentioned here too. You can see through technology transfer, the first submarine is going through its final phase of trial. So first of the 6 Scorpion submarines has been named Kalvari. So again, if Kalvari is the term coming up, what is it? You should know that it's a Scorpion submarine which has been developed in India by Mazgaon Docks Limited and would be inducted into the Navy soon. Then next is Donald Trump may quit Paris Climate Accord. So this is regarding US President Donald Trump. There are apprehensions that he may opt out of Paris Climate Agreement. So this Paris Climate Agreement was agreed upon by the 195 members of UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, in December 2015. So this was a COP21 here, in which all these members had agreed, and then this agreement was open for signature in April 2016, and since then 195 UNFCCC members have signed the treaty, 147 have also ratified it. So this signing and ratification is different. Signing means you are accepting whatever are the provisions in the treaty as correct and uphold them, but then ratification means these provisions become legally binding on you and you have to adhere to them once a country has ratified it. So that's the difference. So after this act also has come into effect, the Paris Agreement has come into effect after the ratifications with effect from 4th November 2016. One major country which has not ratified Paris Climate Accord is Russia, a big emitter which has not ratified, and till date, and one emitter which has ratified under the former government. So US President Barack Obama had ratified Paris Climate Accord, but now the present president of USA, Donald Trump, is considering opting out from the Paris Agreement. So when he was contesting elections, he had also said that within 100 days of his term in office, he would opt out of this agreement. So this is the justification for this provided is that they don't believe in climate change. So these are people who say, including President Donald Trump, that climate change is a hoax. This is naturally occurring. It's not because of any man-made phenomena. So carbon emissions as such are not going to make any difference. The climate change is naturally going to happen. So there should not be any undue restrictions put on us, on the country, USA specifically, for any restrictions so that it cannot make progress. So that is what the belief is. And the Paris Agreement specifically is calling for countries to provide their nationally determined contributions. Earlier they were called INDCs. Intended nationally determined contributions, but once ratified, then it's binding, you have to adhere to them. So now they become NDCs, nationally determined contribution. So this is how it is functioning. The aim of this Paris Agreement is to keep global average temperature rise to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Means whatever were the pre-industrial level temperatures, the temperature rise should be above it, but only up to maximum 2 degrees Celsius, not beyond that. And even effort should be made to keep the rise only up to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So these are the aims, and specifically under the Paris Climate Accord, along with even providing financial flows consistent with the pathways which have been decided for greenhouse emissions and reduction and climate resilience. So this is there, an ability to adapt adverse impacts of climate change also have to be established. So this is regarding the Paris Agreement here. And what is US President specifically targeting is the coal mines. So US coal mines have been struggling for long for revival, and coal is going to result in carbon emissions. So that is why to revive this industry specifically, efforts are now being made, and it is feared that US may opt out of Paris Climate Agreement. So this is there here. The details of Paris Climate Agreement are provided. So it's approved by 195 countries. It with effect from 2020, but then since ratifications have already taken place, so it has come into effect from 4th November 2016. So finances, how the finance it would come from rich countries. So they would provide $100 billion from 2020 as a flow, means minimum. So this is there. And developed countries should continue to take the lead. So differentiation is specifically part of this Paris Climate Agreement, said that differentiated means developed countries have already undertaken emissions. So now they have to take the more part of the burden of these climate change effects. So that is differentiation. Developing countries are still developing, so there would be carbon emissions by them. So this is the terminology used in climate change, differentiation. So this is there. Then review mechanism is also there under the Paris Climate Agreement. Every 5 years, review would also take place on your NDCs, how much you have adhered to them. And this first review would take place in 2023. Then the next news item is Russia fires cruise missiles, targets IS positions in Syria. So this is regarding the Syrian civil war, which is going on for long now. Russia and US are on the two sides. Means Russia is supporting the Syrian government, Bashar al-Assad regime, and USA is supporting the rebels, because Bashar al-Assad, he has been in power for long, so there were rebels. There was a protest against him, but then this protest was supported by external entities. The foreign Western powers supported the rebels, and because of this, the civil war which has initiated, Bashar al-Assad refuses to step down, and Russia has given him full support. This has resulted in the entire issue blown up. Many different entities have entered into this war. Even Islamic State rose in this context to so much prominence, and we see it spreading in the country as well. So now the two nations also, the two rivals, Russia and USA, the two entities also both have to tackle with the threat of Islamic State. So this is the whole status in Syria presently, and specifically this news is regarding Palmyra, the ancient town of Palmyra in Syria, which is under the Islamic State control. So Russian warships have started firing cruise missiles from the Mediterranean Sea to take hold of Palmyra. So this is the Mediterranean Sea. So here is Palmyra located. So this shows you the status as of Feb 2017. The regions under the control of Islamic State are shown in grey color. Regions under Syrian rebels, which are supported by US and the Western powers, are shown in pink. Kurdish forces. So these are forces which Turkey is against. So they want to establish their own separate nation called Kurdistan. So Turkey is against Kurds. Kurds are against Islamic State, and Turkey is with USA. So all this is the mess in which the situation is now. Then the next news item is non-cash transactions in May slide back to near November levels. So this is regarding the data coming from RBI. So this is through the banks, a sample of banks, and NPCI, National Payments Corporation of India, have provided this data, from which it is clearly evident that for the second consecutive month after April 2017, in May 2017, we are seeing non-cash transactions have reduced. So value of non-cash transactions have gone very low. Post demonetization, digitization had taken a spur, but now it is falling down again. So this is clearly evident from the data. Two digital transactions which have seen an increase are UPI, Unified Payments Interface, and e-wallets. But then the value of transactions in such cases are very low. So in terms of value, total value, the increase is not much significant. So this is being shown here. So here again you can see, you should know what is NPCI, what is RTGS transactions that have also contracted, NEFT transactions, check transactions, you know, check through check, that is also a digital means of payment. It's non-cash payment, not digital but non-cash means of payment. So this is all shown here, the data shown here. So you should know about these terminologies. So starting with NPCI2, you can see it's an umbrella organization for all retail payments in the country. So it has been set up in 2008 as a non-profit organization, and it's owned by a consortium of major banks, and the main promoter is RBI. So this is NPCI. Two major things which it has developed is, one is the RuPay card, and second is unified payment interface. So this is the unified payment interface also detailed out here. So it's a payment system launched by NPCI, regulated by RBI, and it is the platform which facilitates fund transfer between two bank accounts on a mobile platform. So through mobile you can use UPI. So this UPI data image is also provided here. So UPI app, it's through an app that you can download the app, install it on your phone, and through you can add bank addresses, as many banks as you want. You have to set up an MPIN and you can transact. So you have real-time settlements of funds done through your mobiles. So this is the UPI app which was developed by NPCI. So this is being shown here, and UPI is built over immediate payment services. So IMPS is a system of transferring funds using this system. So IMPS is mentioned here. Bhim app also you must have heard of. So Bhim app is also based on UPI. So this is the most famous of the app using UPI. So Bhim is Bharat Interface for Money, and Bhim also represents, it's on the name of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, named after him as such. So this Bhim app has been also developed by NPCI, and it is based on UPI. So UPI is also an app. This Bhim is a form of its app, the most famous of its form. So here all Indian banks are supported as such. So through this immediate payment system can be done. So what is this immediate payment system? You should know IMPS. So there are two forms of transactions which are generally known, RTGS and NEFT transactions. So these are also shown here. You can see RTGS and NEFT. And now new form of transaction system, IMPS, immediate payment system, which has been again developed by NPCI, is listed out. So RTGS is real-time gross settlement. So real-time means whenever bank transaction, interbank transaction is done from one bank account to another, if a transaction is done, so this transaction is settled real-time, immediately. The transaction would be done. And gross settlement. Gross settlement means individually one settlement would be done. It would be not netted up with other settlements as such. And this is NEFT. So this is net electronic fund transfer. So this is net settlement done, means it's done in batches, and this is not done in real time. This is done every hour. Presently it has also reduced to every 30 minutes. So in batches it is done. So for normally NEFT is used for transactions. RTGS is generally used for such high profile transactions where high amount of money is involved, that there should be immediate transfer being done, and it should be settled individually, not clubbed with other settlements. Then one significant development, because which IMPS provides for immediate payment service, as the name also suggests, it's immediate. So whenever this transaction is done using the mobile platform, this would be immediately done. Means it's available 24/7, 365 days of the year. While NEFT and RTGS are present only during working hours. So you cannot have these transactions done at any point of time. But with IMPS, this is the development. So this is on a mobile platform. So this has also been developed by NPCI. So this is there. Then e-wallets. So what has been provided here is that the transactions which have been witnessing some growth is UPI through the app and e-wallets. E-wallets you must be knowing when you go for online shopping as such too. You have a wallet in which you can keep money. So that is like a digital wallet as such, in which means in an electronic device you have your money stored. So then you can use it. You can also link it to a bank account and use that money for your transactions. So that is the e-wallet. So this is regarding the details here. Then the next news item is plan for Indian SEZs in Bangladesh hits bump. So this is regarding Indians economic zones. So IEZs were proposed to be established in Bangladesh, and this deal was signed between the two countries in June 2015. But then this has not been finalized yet, because still the Indian companies who would set themselves up in this exclusive economic zone in Bangladesh have not been decided by the government. And companies, presently the news is that the companies are stating that the three regions where SEZs, India exclusive SEZs have proposed to be established by Bangladesh, that Bangladesh would facilitate this. The sites which have been provided, that there are 3 sites here you can see, Mongla, Bhiramara and Mirsarai. So these 3 places, the companies are saying they have inadequate infrastructure and lack uninterrupted power supply. So they are demanding that they be given sites closer to Chittagong port or the capital city Dhaka, similar to those sites which have been allocated for Chinese SEZs. So this is the demand made by Indian private sector here to the government. So this is in the news presently, and these SEZs will be given concessions. Various concessions have been provided by the Bangladesh government. There are further clarifications also required on these concessions by the Indian private sector. So this is in news, but presently the government is saying that the private sector should not be very apprehensive about this. The government is also making initiatives. There is a 5,000 megawatt power plant which is proposed to be established in Bangladesh. So power supply can be ensured as such. Not to, government says don't worry about that. Plus this entire development is done presently because we have a huge trade surplus with Bangladesh. So in order to correct that trade surplus, this is being proposed. It's around $6.8 billion trade between the 2 countries, of which $6 billion worth is India's. So that shows a huge trade surplus. So we have also provided a concessional line of credit to the Bangladesh government, which will be used for investments in these SEZs, Indian Economic Zones, IEZs. So that is there. Also, Chinese investments in the country are going significantly high. So India wants to compete and does not want to give away a neighbor to Chinese investments. So we are also emphasizing on increasing our investments here and stronghold in Bangladesh. So this consultancy firm, PricewaterhouseCoopers, has been provided with this task of having a preliminary study done about the feasibility and the benefits which would be there because of these SEZs being established, Indian IEZs established in Bangladesh. And the last news item is NASA to fly Solar Probe Plus right into Sun's atmosphere in 2018. So this has been announced by NASA. So this will fly within 6.4 million kilometers of the surface of the Sun, near the solar atmosphere. So right into the solar atmosphere. So this will be the first time that a man-made structure would go so close to the Sun and it will face brutal heat and radiation. So this is a study probe which has been undertaken to study the Sun's outer atmosphere and better understand how stars like us have formed. So this is the news. So these are the news items. Thank you.